Hi, Susan Modest here. Today I'm going to be talking with you about some different scenarios with Bitcoin. So if you've been watching my channel or you're friends with me on Facebook, then you already know that I'm a Bitcoin enthusiast. And as I learn things or as I get new and exciting information, I like to share it with you, share it with anybody who's following me. Sorry, hit the microphone. Who's following me or just is already into Bitcoin or just kind of checking things out and kind of researching. So there's a couple of things going on in the Bitcoin world now, but I think probably the most exciting was the fact that this week, and I often date my videos by talking about Bitcoin prices, but Bitcoin prices, they change, and so and things are exciting. So depending on when you're watching this, would have been this week that Bitcoin prices went above the 6,000 mark. So at 5,000, it was kind of just like, and get pushed back. And, when it finally went over 5,000, then it went gangbusters. It went to 6,000, busted through 6,000, and actually had gone up as high as about 6,147 was the highest that I personally saw. Right now, it has a little bit of a correction, as you would expect, because obviously when things get that high, some people are going to sell a little bit, and other things are coming up, and I'll do other videos to talk about some other things coming up in the Bitcoin world that will affect the volatility. We already know it's volatile. Please watch my other videos if you want an explanation as to why it's volatile. It's not a bad thing, but it's just the way that it is. So that's what's going on. And for that reason, everybody wants to jump on. When was the better time to jump on? Obviously, when it was less. At the beginning of 2017, we were looking at it being around 900 per Bitcoin, $1,000 per Bitcoin. And so then if you think about it, it's had over a 500% increase. So that's amazing. And those of us who have Bitcoin are very, very excited. And those of you who are kind of watching or just learning more, that's why I make this video, to give you some more information. So I have a couple of different scenarios for you. And I'm going to use 5,500 as the scenario mark. And the reason I'm doing that is because right now with things kind of going up and down, I'm going to be conservative. So we're at 5,800 today, a little over that. So I want to even be more conservative in giving my scenarios, and just understand that should it go back up to 6,000, or should it be headed for 10,000, even with some experts are saying we could see as soon as April 2018. So that's just about 6 months from now. As it goes up, the scenario gets even better. So scenario one, you have $5,500 and you buy a Bitcoin, a full Bitcoin, and you decide to hold that Bitcoin. Obviously, with a 500% increase this year alone, you could be a very happy camper come April, or just with any increase from here on out. Now, can I tell you that you won't see drops? Because you will, or you could. And you might even see drops that are fairly significant. So I would tell you, I've done other videos about this again. Don't let these things scare you. Understand that it's going to have a volatile nature. But overall, the projection for Bitcoin is for it to continue going up and up and up and up. And 5 figures is not far off. And, so don't worry about the little dips. But you have one Bitcoin and you just hold it. You just let it rise. That's one scenario. Scenario two is that you have $5,500 and you're skeptical about Bitcoin. You're not quite sure if it's real money, what the value is it a bubble, what's going on. Did videos about that, so I'm going to recommend that you watch those. But you just decide, I'm going to be conservative and I am going to stay on the boat that we all know is sinking, which is fiat currency. with inflation, our buying power is nowhere near where it used to be. So 5,500 today isn't going to go as far as 5,500 a couple years ago, and definitely not decades ago. Our spending power is less for that, but we want to be conservative in scenario 2. So you just put it in the bank. You're probably looking at, if you have a really good savings account, you're probably looking at 1% per year. And so you're looking at about a $55 increase on that amount. So all things considered, you probably have, what is that, $5,555 now, a $55 return on that banking. And because of inflation, your spending power is actually diminishing. So that's scenario 2. Then you have scenario 3, where you invest 5,500, the same amount that you could have invested in buying a Bitcoin. You invest that into mining. So mining, if you're not familiar with it, is the way that Bitcoin is put into circulation. Okay, it's the most organic way to increase the number of Bitcoin out in circulation. Currently, there's about 17 million Bitcoin in circulation, and only 21 will ever be mined. Did a video about that, and so you'll see why it is that that's actually a good thing for values, and it will always be circulating, throughout. But as it gets rarer, the price is going to go up, supply and demand, that type of thing. But with mining, what you're actually doing is you're going to take that money and you are purchasing hash power, mining power. And everyone can mine on their own. You can set up the whole system. But for the average person, because mining, as we get closer to that 21 million mark, is more difficult, it requires more power, and the typical average person does not have the setup for mining very effectively on their own. So there are pools that you could join where you're basically buying that hash power and pooling it with others. And in that way, you're accumulating more Bitcoin. So you're taking that $5,500, and instead of buying a solid Bitcoin, or instead of putting that just in your savings, you're applying that to purchasing hash power to mine more Bitcoin for you. So in this scenario, come April, you have more than one Bitcoin potentially if you've been, depending on how much hash power you have increased or you have bought. And so, with that same scenario that I gave you, you could be looking at $1,000 a month of basically revenue, passive revenue coming back to you. And that can be used for a lot of things, right? It can be used to purchase more hash power so that you're getting more Bitcoin mined for you, so that when that happy day comes that the price of Bitcoin goes up a little bit more, you have more Bitcoin. But, life isn't always that simple, right? Sometimes people need their money right now. So that $1,000 can be used right now to pay your bills, to get out of debt, to purchase new things that you need to take care of your family, to go on vacation, that type of thing. So in other words, mining becomes another source of income for you passively. Now, what I would recommend with that, obviously, is that you want to hold on to as much Bitcoin as possible. That way you can capitalize on the rising Bitcoin prices. But here's the other thing. With mining pools, there are some, including the one that I am currently involved in, where you could actually share this information with others, and you can use that as a form of revenue as well. So you can apply that towards your bills, your travel, and all of those things right now that you need, and let the Bitcoin continue to mine for you and continue applying the passive that you're earning. You can apply that to more hash power, which equals more Bitcoin. So that's a couple of things there. Obviously, I'm fond of scenario 3. Scenario 4 is that you kind of split it. So you have $5,500, you put 50% in mining, and you put 50% into just buying fractions of Bitcoin, so that you have the stability of the Bitcoin just being in your wallet. And then as there's rises, you would be able to benefit from that. And of course, the caveat to that being that if there's a dip, you also will feel the dip, or you'll see the dip in your wallet. But in other words, it's not being invested. It's there in your wallet. And so if that's the kind of security you need, then that scenario might be a good one for you, because at the same time, you've taken the other 50% and you're mining, so that's earning you more Bitcoin. Again, that you can potentially benefit from the rising. So of all of these scenarios, all of you fit somewhere, all of you watching this. And if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you are at least curious about Bitcoin. So I would ask you to maybe rewatch this video and kind of think about where you fall. Are you going to be happy if you just buy Bitcoin and let it increase in value, knowing that you'll only ever have that Bitcoin unless you take from your resources and buy some more to increase the supply of Bitcoin that you have? Then unless you do that, you're always going to have just that Bitcoin, just that rise. Okay. And so, will you be happy with that? If you're happy with that, then that's what you do. And I will put a link in the description box for a place that you can buy some Bitcoin, or buy your Bitcoin, or fractions, or however you're going to do it. And then you just hold it. Okay. And then if scenario 2 is you, and you are just not confident, and you're going to just put it in the bank, then the only thing I would caution you is, if you look back to this day or to this time in life where you had the opportunity to jump on Bitcoin train at some level on the spectrum, are you going to be happy with that decision? Are you going to be happy having stayed just in the fiat and making potentially, 1% on that? Are you going to feel like you made a solid decision? And, only you can answer that question. And scenario 3, mining. If you decide that you wanted to put that 5,500 towards getting some hash power to multiply the number of Bitcoins, are you the kind of person that would be happy with that? I will tell you that with mining, you cannot lose the Bitcoin that is being mined for you. So that takes away some of the risk. I was involved in trading. I still am involved in trading. But for trading, you have to be willing to potentially lose, because trading is all about dips and gains. And, sometimes you're going to call it right and sometimes you're not. And so if you can manage that kind of risk, and that's the way that you want to do it, you can do that too. But with mining, you're not at risk of losing the Bitcoin that's being mined for you, because that's all it is. It's being mined for you. Okay. And if you're interested in trading, just contact me. You can see what I'm doing. But there's the reason why I really am promoting mining is because of that hedge, so to speak, that mining can provide, both with, if there's Bitcoin dips, you're still going to have Bitcoin being mined for you. That doesn't stop, because the values have gone down. Now, as much as the return that you get, that could be affected, of course, by values. But as far as you losing Bitcoin, that cannot happen with mining. And some people need that security in this day and age. So certainly we could talk about both, but I want to make sure people find where they belong. In scenario 4, that's where 50-50. If you're that kind of investor, that works too, because what you're doing is you're being secure on one end, or just maybe a little less investment minded on one end, and then investing and getting more Bitcoin mined for you on the other end. So you have almost the best of both worlds, even though they both will be less, at a lesser amount. So that was just an explanation of the different scenarios. If there's anything that you missed, like I said, rewatch, but I will put links in this in the description box for everything that I mentioned, buying Bitcoin, everything but a bank account. The bank account, that's all on you if that's how you want to do it. But I will put also a mining opportunity that I am very happy with. The company has been around for 9 years, and I am very comfortable and feeling very secure introducing that to my partners, whose trust I highly value. So thanks for watching, and connect with me. Facebook is probably the best way, and if not, you can leave comments in below this video as well. Thanks for watching and have a great day.